Welcome to the Campervan Casts, the podcast where Dan and Leigh will take you step by step through the process of choosing, buying, repairing, maintaining and converting your very own campervan, all via the wonderful medium of audio. And we're going to be filming it too, so you can watch it on the Combe Valley Campers YouTube channel. This week we shall be mostly speaking about vehicle-dependent travel.
Absolutely, and it's a good phrase that we've just learnt that from our guest, who's actually just introduced us to the phrase. Yeah, it's a really good episode. I think we're all looking forward to it, and it's going to be as well. Not only that, but the phrase "off-grid." We hear it a lot, and it can vary. And we've got a guest who has a lot of experience in it, not only travelling off-grid and doing expedition travels, but also selling the equipment to go with it as well. So both sides of the sort of the consumer and the actual stocking it and selling it as well. So it's really a good one.
Experiencing that, and it's somebody and a company that I've been wanting to do a. I don't like to use the word collaboration, although it's a word that is, I guess, quite apt. But we've been wanting to speak to these guys for a long time formally on the channel and have a quick chat. But first of all, before we get into that, how's things, dude? All right?
Yeah, good. We've been another busy week, haven't we?
Crazy times.
We've got, as you just said, you don't like the word collaboration, but we've got a lot more collaborations coming up. So there's a couple of companies that we're talking to and some companies that we've already worked with that we're then going to further the relationship with and extend our range with them.
Yes, if anybody out there has been keeping an eye on our shop recently, they've been noticing the increased range of products we're now offering to everybody.
Yep.
And we're only hoping to grow that, which is fantastic. And there's going to be a couple of different services that are going to be available soon as well, which we look forward to. But in the last couple of weeks, we're now, what's the date today? We are the 8th of March today. So if you're an email subscriber, you would have received our email recently as well. So we've gone over a couple of bits of that.
Yeah. So we put that out every month to catch people up over the last month, because a lot goes on, and unless you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, which we recommend everyone does, but if you don't do that, it's quite difficult to know what we're doing. So it's all in one place.
Plus, a lot of people probably get a bit bored of my face, to be honest, because all we do is hound everybody on Instagram and social media with all of our stuff. So to just have it in one email at the end of the month is...
I can't think how anyone would ever find that. Gosh.
No. So, no, things are going very well, but I'm just eager to start chatting to our guest today. Everybody, welcome Jed from campervanculture.com. Hello, mate. How are you?
Not so bad. Hope you're having a good day.
It's been, like we said earlier, a mental one. What about yourself? It's a Monday. A Monday, as I understand, is always a very busy one for you.
Yeah, it's just chase your tail day. Well, actually, every day is chase your tail day until Wednesday. Then you wait for the weekend and you start all over again. And
this year, more than ever, I'm sure you will sympathise.
Yeah, trying to make hay while the sun shines. So hopefully my outlook on it is we can't go away for a year, so I think I need a year off. So hopefully we've gathered enough funds through support through our company so we can make a bigger video next time.
I look forward to that. You've released. So if anybody doesn't know, Jed from Campervan Culture, you are the founding father of Campervan Culture. Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess so. Started off with just me and the family and a few friends, and people have come and gone in those months and years, but ultimately, it was me, my wife, and Isaac, my son, that started it, and it'll be us that'll finish it. So, yes, we started this somehow, and it became a thing, and yeah, it'll end with us doing a thing, I suppose.
And born out of passion, and I guess just wanting to document initially. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, when we first started doing it, like in a T25 van. There just wasn't anyone really sort of going abroad and things in a van like sort of 12 years ago or whatever. It was quite an experience going to France, and there weren't many kind of cameras weren't up to much back then. You had like a 3 megapixel little thing on your camera, didn't you? Because the memory cards weren't a thing then, so there wasn't enough to hold the information on on a device, so
a lot of planning.
Rubbish.
I don't remember that. I was still in school.
Yeah, Dan was still in school back then. The poor lad.
Yeah. I've got underpants older than Dan.
So, but yeah, it's really cool how it all started, really. I mean, it's so funny, we've almost done it backwards. We started the company and then documented online, and I guess when you started putting your adventure, your travels and things onto YouTube, I'm sure YouTube was a very different place back then, and I guess nobody had really coined the phrase content creator or influencer or anything else like that. It was just you with your buddies traveling, documenting it for your own, I guess, prosperity, really.
Yeah, there wasn't hashtags or anything like that. There was no name for it. That's why I use vehicle dependent travel, because all these things you hear now, like overlanding or off-grid camping or van life, or like, these aren't words. These are words that people have made to explain a thing, but it's not a new thing. That thing's always been there, and it just wasn't called anything. Like, YouTube, like 12 years ago or whatever, and
I think it was about when YouTube started, wasn't it? 2008, wasn't it? YouTube kind of started.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there wasn't really anything to watch on YouTube back then. I mean, Go Westy had done filmed a trip down to Baja, which was quite interesting. You could watch that, and then I started messing around doing green laning weekends with my mate Russell and my mate Jake, and there was a guy called Chad of Live the Van Life, and there was him. And it's funny, I still speak to him now, actually. It's we sort of remember those days when it was a very lonely place, YouTube, and it was just like, we didn't have anyone else to sort of it was just some guy in Washington and some guy here, and Go Westy were throwing a few bits in now and then, and yeah, there just wasn't anything to watch.
Yeah, that's quite incredible, really, because the amount of like camper van and, as you say, overland and off grid or whatever you call it,
van life
channels out there now is just incredible. There's another one every week almost that people are.
It's good.
We're one of them.
Yeah. Well, but it's good. Like, who watches TV now? Nobody do they? So
yeah.
There's a channel I've started getting into, Kinging It. Welsh couple, they're really funny. I don't know them or anything. They've just been keeping me going for a few months.
Yeah.
Their van shenanigans. But yeah, there's loads of new people into it, like exciting, enthusiastic. Yeah, it's good. I like it.
And it led to basically what you are today, right? So campervanculture.com was your video antics and your travel antics and just a small website, but now you're an international brand.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Started off just me and my mate Jake, and then we was making these, like, just goofing around, making videos. We were kind of off-roading in synchro vans, but we weren't off-roading because we liked off-roading so much. We just were going down these green lanes to find these out-the-way camp spots. And we did it for a while, and then it was kind of like, oh, wouldn't it be great one day if it would pay for fuel for a trip? And then we met a guy called Al, and he came on board with us, and he had some really good ideas. And then somehow we decided between the three of us that we'd try and film a trip down to Morocco, and made a film series of it. And then Jake had to leave. He went to Canada because his wife was from there, and she didn't want to bring her kids up in the UK or the second one. And Al left for his own reasons. And then, we've gone far beyond paying for that tank of fuel now that we were aiming for. So, I mean,
and living the dream, then, for want of a better phrase, you set up a business to pay for your travels, and you've certainly, well, from what vehicles you have now, and I know you've done this a lot on your own back, Jed, but you've got some impressive cars, trucks, vans to be able to follow that passion and continue those documenting trips, I guess.
Yeah, we don't make a lot of content. We make like 1 or 2 travel videos a year. We've done a few more this year just because we've been nothing much to do, so we kind of been doing a few bits and bobs. But It just means that I don't have to work all year now to try and like get my holiday money together, which I found before in my previous life. That's what I was doing. I was a plasterer, so I'd be working all year, and it comes to the school holidays, and it'd be like, oh right, okay, have I got the sort of 2 or 3 grand you need to go on holiday? And it'd be like, you're almost there, you're working late and stuff, and you're just working all year just to try and get that holiday money. And now, luckily, I don't have to really try and find that money because it's in the business, and part of the business is my life.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, I don't actually need any money. So that's how it works. Like what we actually pay ourselves is very little. It really is, because we don't need money. We can, like we say about vehicles, if we wanted to build the truck like the Manigan, the big massive lorry that we've built, like there's no way I would have had the money to do that if I'd have had to pay for it myself.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because it's, we use it in the films we make and things like that. Camper van culture, that lorry belongs to the company. It's not mine. It's like I don't physically own that vehicle. It's a company vehicle. And, if you've got, £40,000 to spend on a build, like who's got that money? It's almost impossible, really. But
yeah, not without financing it or remortgaging the house or anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you don't have the facility to do that.
I'd say lots of people do, but it's, it was like something I wanted to get to when I was 55 or 60. I managed to get there, just fast track it 10 years or so. So that was good. But obviously you're never satisfied with what you've got, and you carry on buying stuff and,
and
making things.
And camper van culture then was born of this, and you've done the travels, but what the main emphasis now, or your bread and butter, or your day to day, is the supplying parts. But you've found not a niche, but a speciality, and that speciality, I guess, is providing for the synchro vehicles, providing for the more off-road targeted vehicles as well. And it's not just the VWs you play with now, is it? There's lots of other different brands. But if you wanted to just maybe give us an overview of what you would provide day to day to these people, ranging from, I guess, the smallest washer, nut, bolt, whatever it may be, up to, I don't know, a huge awning or a rooftop tent, or have I just covered it like that?
Well, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's like, because like the smaller camper vans, because they are so small and you're living in them, like you can't have everything inside. So when you see, I mean, they do look cool, the roof racks and everything that we sell, and the storage boxes and the wheel carriers and the rock sliders and all that kind of stuff. It's cool stuff, but when you're traveling, you need to have room inside to like clutter free, basically, and you can live in there.
Absolutely.
And the vehicles we're using are so small that a lot of that stuff has to go outside. So storage boxes on the roof aren't like, there's clothes in that, and we'll just rotate certain things every couple of days to do that, because when we get somewhere, we just want to pull the bed down and the bed's there, pull the duvet forward, that's it.
Yeah.
And then we leave and it's done. The most we ever do is get an awning and 2 chairs out. That's it.
Yeah, and I guess it's that, what you've just said there, that's born from experience. You're not just selling this junk, this stuff because it's cool. You're selling it because it actually has a practical purpose. It's not just to get your likes, to get your popularity up. You've lived it, so you've got grounds to actually sell this stuff, because you know that having stuff bolted onto the outside of the vehicle is actually, A, not only looks cool, but B, it serves an absolutely vital purpose.
That's it. And it's like you said, it's vehicle dependent travel. So like, say, for example, I mean, we don't always do things the way everyone else does it. It's just what we found while doing longer trips away, for example, like solar panels, for example. So because we're away for a while, we don't want to run LPG on a fridge and stuff. So we sell compressor fridges, and we use compressor fridges. So you've got your van, and then, you want your solar to keep that with the battery bank and stuff. So what the sort of norm is that people get the solar panels, stick them on the roof, park the van in the sun to run the fridge, and in turn, the inside of the van's getting mad hot. The fridge is running overtime. So then the solar panels are working harder, and it's actually counterproductive. So what we tend to do through experience and with the sort of kit that we sell is we park the van in the shade, have a removable solar panel set up on an extension lead. So the van's cool in the shade and then the panels are out in the sun. So just things like that just little things for experience that you think, oh, maybe for longer periods of time, you don't want something permanently fixed to your roof. That said, weekends, it's great for just have something stuck on your roof, or you sort of 2 weeks in Cornwall. It's great, but we sort of do things a bit differently, I guess. Because we're relying on our vehicle quite often to have a comfortable life.
This is it, and I guess that comes down to as well what you want to use it for. And we hear a lot of people going, "Oh, I want a stealth camper." Now, if you're taking your solar panels off and leaving them at the side, that's not very stealthy. So it's those sort of experience things that you're doing, and also what you're using it for and where you're staying. If you're at a place where there's a lot of footfall, again, you probably don't want your solar panels on the floor because
but they can stay on the roof. It's just when you it's just I guess it's just a different thing because we like to go to like remote places. So it's not quite often that there's a lot of people around, but yeah.
And I know, Dan, you wanted to. We're talking obviously about the vehicle-dependent travel, which is, I mean, you may have listened to what we've done in the past, actually, Jed. If I take it right back, we are trying to help people decide, A, whether they want to go camping, B, what style of camping they want to do, and then from those two things, if they want a camper, where they want to go, what they want to do, then that will help them decide which vehicle they want. And we've spoken a lot about either off-grid, overlandy, or the sort of camping you would do is more campsite-bound with plug-ins and ablutions and things like that. But I know, Dan, you wanted to ask Jed his opinions on the definitions of the terms, but I think, so what is it you wanted to...
Yeah, so there's obviously with anything, there's different levels to it. So obviously there's the entry level of maybe a couple of solar panels connected to your leisure battery. That means you're going to be able to stay away from the campsite a little bit longer. And then that you can sort of stay sort of within the road distance, but then you're looking at, you specialise in the 4-wheel drive and stuff like that. We've got a lot of customers that we hear that buy a 4-wheel drive vehicle, but then do they necessarily need one? Where depending on where they're going. So, what sort of limitations is a two sort of drive vehicle got basically?
I mean, it just gives you the confidence, doesn't it? I mean, you might not use a 4-wheel drive vehicle, but it's just knowing, like, I'll have a drive down there and have a look.
Yeah, you're not going to get stuck. Yeah.
But I mean, you get loads of places with a 2-wheel drive vehicle. Not everywhere's down a muddy track.
Yeah.
And when people ask us, like, I'm getting a van, what should I do, and what upgrade should I do? And it's like, just get your van, go use it for a year, and then you'll know what you need.
Yeah, that's one thing we've said a lot, actually, isn't it?
Isn't it? This is the point we came to. It's so funny. Last week we were talking about planning a camper van build. And in the end, we almost said don't plan it, because what you need to do is go out and use it. And as you found, you just start bolting things on and changing the interior and everything else. And I think when did we come to see you, Jed, now? About 3-4 months ago? It was in between the lockdowns, wasn't it? Maybe even 5-6 months ago now.
It was probably longer than you think.
Yeah, and you gave me a pretty exclusive tour of the Managon, which is your man-based 4x4 7.5 ton truck, for people who haven't seen it. Your layout of that vehicle was in a certain way based on your experience again, but I'm sure there's a couple of little things after doing a couple of trips in that truck. There's probably a couple of things that you would probably change. Is that right? They're always on the change. There's always things you could think about modifying.
Yeah, there's a couple of things, but that is an unusual build. It's not a regular. It's not for everybody, is it? No one, might not want to drive a lorry around. around
Would
places.
You say that's the extreme of going overland, or going off grid was actually going ahead and getting a 7.5 ton truck?
We spent like time in Morocco and stuff. So like having a lorry the question, I mean, the thing that people say, like, oh, you know, but that's thirsty. Yeah, it is. It's a lorry. And like, how many miles per gallon? And it's like, I don't know, loads. Like, it looks it. But you don't look at it. But then the countries I'm going to in that are places like, you know, Morocco, and went to Transylvania and stuff in it, through Serbia and those places. So when I'm in Serbia, it's like, even Romania, it was like 70 pence a litre fuel.
Yeah.
So that lorry can carry 550 litres of fuel. So I fill up in Transylvania on, you know, 60 pence a litre. I can drive about 1,200, 1,300 miles with 2 tanks full. So if you look at that in relative miles per gallon, like I've just got a T5, which is brilliant on fuel, but then I would have had to stop like 8 times on the way back in expensive countries to fill up on the way back.
A piddly little tank in comparison, yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at those fill-ups, I worked it out, and it's like in relative miles per gallon, it's the same amount of money because I'm travelling on 60 pence a litre fuel. So right the way home. So I can drive from Marrakesh to London without stopping.
That's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Yeah, I'd love that.
That's not for everybody. It's unusual. No. That's, you know. But for a van, if you got yourself a van with, you know, sort of rock and roll bed, or even just an empty panel van and make it kind of sleepable, I always say, I always recommend that there's like three things that you need. That, I mean, I've been cold and it's horrible. I hate it. But there's 3 things that will change your experience from having a real crappy time to having you're enjoying yourself. So that's an Eberspacher diesel heater, an awning, and a compressor fridge. If you've got those 3 things, like, you know, it's rubbish the weather. It's, you know, you've got your awning, you've got your heater, you know, you're boiling hot, you've got your compressor fridge full of cold beers and food that's not going funky. It's like, what else do you need?
And that's a good place to start, because one of the things we've mentioned as well is, if you're not sure on what you want, buy items that you know are going to fit in any configuration. So no matter if you've got a kitchen out the back or the standard traditional layout or a big overlander vehicle, you can still put your heater and your fridge in there quite happily. Yeah.
You can swap it from vehicle to vehicle, can't you?
Yeah, that's another point.
They're so easy to install, really. I mean, I'm going to let you in on a secret, Joe. Basically, the first time I ever learnt about you and what you do was because of your diesel heater video, and I think it was back in 2014. I think you were fitting the diesel heater on the drive of one of your vans. Is that right?
Yeah, I used to get them from the BT place. They did like BT service vans, and the guy used to sell the diesel heaters off cheap out the back door for 300 quid.
Nice.
So I shouldn't say that, really, should I? I'm not saying where it was. And then a few of my friends wanted them, so I just started working out how the looms worked and stuff. Mm-hmm. And, they're pretty easy to get to grips to. But yeah, I mean, that's great. I mean, I like things you can take to other vehicles. Like with the truck, there's a massive 100-litre compressor fridge in there, but I could take that out now. And if, like, say I was, you know, at a wedding or something and they wanted extra fridge space, you can take that with you, can't you, and use it, or a barbecue.
I remember seeing that. Was that the one that looks like a huge cool box? Is that the one? It's almost on the... You can turn into a bench seat, and you've got then extra seating potentially in your wagon too.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, epic looking thing it was. And that's something you sell?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go then. There we go. That's proof of concept right there. You actually use it. You can wax lyrical about how good it is, and then you just throw it on the website as well. And that's kind of, I guess, what we're hoping to do, isn't it? More and more with the stuff that we do, we'll grab a product, we'll feature it, we'll test it, we'll use it on any of our vehicles. Although I'm not getting out that much at the moment, sadly, and nobody is, I guess. So all we can do is just talk about things that we've done on our own experiences, and I guess that's why we do like the Q&A Wednesdays and stuff like that too. But
there's one thing that we're talking about that I'm thinking of is, obviously you've mentioned the Eberspacher heater. There is a lot out there about, right, so you've got that heater that's anywhere between sort of £800 upwards. I think we know where this is going, but the Amazon or the Amazon or eBay £70 so-called equivalent that people rave about. I think it would be rude not to quickly mention those.
Well, you want an opinion?
An opinion would be great, yeah.
They're not for me.
Yeah.
We fitted them and they work. However, they are not a scratch on the gear that is actually calibrated. It's almost got like an ECU in it, hasn't it? It's a genuine piece of kit, and it's just not worth risking it, is it? To go for, for something like that.
They run great for 3 months. Like, they're brilliant, and then a few issues might crop up. But for me personally, I like something that if something's wrong with something, it can be fixed. So like with an Eberspatcher, for example, like you don't have to go to like a motorhome dealer's or anything like that to get it fixed. So an example, when we was driving to Morocco, we were in Spain, and Al's heater was playing up, and it's like, right, we were in Marbella. It's like, right, marinas, all boats have got Eberspatcher heaters. You just go to a marina, they've got parts. Like, you can get parts anywhere for them.
Sure.
And you don't have to rely on other people's kind of, I don't know, this is going to sound awful, but people who fit those heaters, quite often that they fit into a category, and it's not always a trusted, a reliable fitting advice that I'd necessarily recommend other people would follow. Eberspatch have got a team of engineers, that have to quality check everything, if someone dies in a van, there's someone held accountable, isn't there?
That's right. And plus also, if something does go wrong, you want to be able to ring up the international number and have somebody be able to speak to you. You don't want to, there's not going to be much of customer support when you, in the back end of nowhere, and you need to ring the number and, it's a Sunday, so no one's going to be there to answer it. So, no, it's quality speaks for itself, I guess. I'm
sure there's loads that have run perfectly fine for years. I'm not saying that. I'm sure they will, and I'm sure loads of people are going to complain about me, It's just some things are not for me. I mean, if you buy a Swiss Army knife and you look at it and you use it, and then you go in a pound shop and there's a Swiss Army knife on the wall there, just get the two. It's there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's just an interesting point, because it's a lot of people swear by, and we're not convinced in sort of some respects. So it's just, I think it's something it was going to be brought up on the podcast at some point. So yeah, I think it's
good.
Yeah, good.
It does mean like the lamb to the slaughter. Bring Jed in, he'll
get the Overlander, to say his piece on it. Yeah.
I'll tell you one though. Saying that about Eberspatchers, that I have actually used a Russian one. They call it an auto term now, which was a pannier heater. They're good, actually. They're not like the Chinese ones. They're made for like Siberian conditions and stuff like that, and they are very good. I've actually got one in the lorry. So,
and do you have a form of redundancy in terms of heater as well? Have you got more than one heater just in case one does pack up? Yeah, and that's a big thing as well. I think that's what would define a seasoned traveller as opposed to somebody who's a bit wet behind the ears, is having a redundancy plan and equipment, not just for your heater, but for almost everything, and then the spares to back it up as well, and at least the tools to back it up if you need to, right?
Yeah. A lot of the trucks that you see, the overland trucks with that are, 300-400 grand and stuff, and people are like, oh, what is it? It's just a lorry with like a caravan on and stuff. But it's not at all. It's like a lot of those things, they're like wired twice. If you've got a problem, you just flick a switch and it bypasses that whole system. Because if you're in Siberia and it's minus, 30 or whatever, or even the far north of Scandinavia at the minute, it's hitting. Well, it has been hitting minus 30. You want to stay alive, really, don't you?
Well, this is it, and we've got mutual friends, and we've spoken about them a few times on the channel. And it's Gary and Tina with their red Overlander that they had. They hit minus 45, I think, in one of the deserts, and nearly everything packed up, and their saving grace was, I think they said, wasn't it a 35 quid Argos electric blanket in the end, because that was the only thing that would stay warm, because everything froze to the point where fuel lines were cracking, diesel turned to jelly, and even to start their trucks, I think they had to
create a fire.
They had to create a fire to preheat the oil, I think. But I mean, that's really extreme, isn't it, in terms of temperature? But yeah, a redundancy plan is good. But I think all of their redundancy options did actually fail at that point, didn't they? Because everything did get so cold.
Yeah. I've got a friend, Tom and Gemma at Rest Feather. They've got a T25 Synchron. Funny enough, they met Gary and Tina and Matt.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Funny enough, the Synchro was all right though.
No.
Yeah, I don't think Tina and Gary were in a very good place at that time, but yeah,
I've driven those military trucks, and I kind of went from boy to man driving those sorts of trucks, and however awesome they are, they do have their pitfalls. But I think when it comes to that sort of temperature, I don't know what would survive. But then being prejudiced against VWs, I'll always depend on those. But just quickly, why VWs for you?
I don't know. I think it stems from the Synchro. If you could find like the T25 Synchro, if there's another van that did that, I'd take that. But there just isn't. There's nothing with that ground clearance. There's nothing with that, capability as far as small camper goes. I mean, the Toyotas are pretty low down. But the Delicas,
yeah.
But they're tiny. You can't sleep in those properly, can you?
Yeah, they're cab forward or cab over. I can't quite remember, but they don't have the sort of internal space like a T3, T25 does, do they? And I guess the engine options are there as well. And I've literally just done a Q&A, filmed that before this, and somebody says, "What's your favourite, era of transporter?" And it has to be that, because there's so many different configurations, be it single cab pickup, double cabs, campers, coach built, and then you've got the engine combinations to suit as well. But you, as far as I understand from a little bit of research that we did just before this, you started your off-roady type and camper type travels in a Docker, right? Which I'm keen to learn more of, because, as you may know, I've just bought one myself.
Didn't you know we had that?
I remember you spoke about it before, but again, reading your blurb on your website, much like you do when it comes to interviewing anybody, you do a little bit of rushed research beforehand. Not that we haven't known each other before this, but yeah, your first form of synchro and travelling was in that Docker, right?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I loved it. It was brilliant for summer, living out the back of it is awesome. But obviously, with cold weather and stuff, you couldn't spend a lot of time inside. And with especially in Westphalia, the layout's so good. Like, we've had 5 people in it having Christmas dinner and stuff. And yeah, they're brilliant. I always feel like they're like a little yacht sometimes. I imagine I'm at sea sometimes, and I'm out in the ocean somewhere and no one's around. And they're really cozy. But yeah, I had a bit of. I'm back in love with mine again now, but I did fall out of it for a good couple of years. Just through one thing or another, so it left.
Concentrating on the big truck, weren't you?
I was a bit, yeah.
Little thing fell by the wayside.
Yeah, but then I got the truck. I built the truck, and it's all brilliant, and it's the ultimate thing. And then I went and bought a Touareg and a roof tent because I wanted to go backpacking in cars again. And just bought the T5, which is kind of.
More on that, please, mate. Because I think we've got a lot of our followers, supporters, listeners, whoever they may be. The T5/T6 platform is one that's probably been most popular for conversions in the last 10 to 12 to 15 years, right? And however, there are not many options when it comes to the off-road or the more adventurous styling and platforms for bolting stuff onto. And you've got yourself a new project.
I have, yeah. It's more of, I got into the Swamper group on Facebook just because there's a nice bunch of mainly fellas on there, and I like it how they're using the 2-wheel drive vans a lot of the time, and I do like that because it gets a bit easy in a capable vehicle, and I like the technicalities of trying to drive a 2-wheel drive vehicle on some crappy terrain. Sometimes it's quite fun.
I guess there's an old saying, isn't there? Anything's an off-road vehicle, depending on how much you care about it, right?
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that people want, like wheel carriers and ladders and stuff like that. And there isn't much for the T5 in the kind of field that we're in. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping to bring that to the market.
Yeah, there's a couple of European companies, isn't there, that do things like snorkels and lift kits, and I can't even remember the name of the firm now, but I've seen some of their stuff and been, you see a lot of lovely pictures, but I've not seen their stuff being used. But are you going to give us any exclusives, Jed? Is there anything you are keen on making, prototyping, engineering first for the T5, or is it going to be kept closely guarded for the minute?
Yeah, I mean, I've developed a whole a template almost for on my own Westie. I'm looking at it now over there.
Yeah.
And this template that I've built, I might have shown you a few bits and pieces for it. Once that's all configured and it's all the whole round package is done, I'm then going to get it all for the T5, get it all redesigned so that template will fit a T5. Then maybe a Sprinter, most definitely the MAN TGEs, which should be the same model as the Volkswagen Crafter. They're really popular at the minute, the new ones, like unbelievably popular. I reckon I'm getting 5 or 6 phone calls a day, like, people have bought them.
It's certainly popular with our DPD drivers, I can tell you that much.
Yeah. Well, for the MANs, they're like 27 grand for a brand new 4x4 van.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
That's amazing. And they've got like the the big lorry service package. So if you break down, they don't just like send the RAC to come and get you and take you to like matey's garage down the road where you'll sit in a queue. It's different with trucks. Like, they keep you on the road. So the minute you break down in a truck or these MAN vans, they'll get you in the service centre. There's vacant ramps there. You're straight on it. They fix it. You're done, and you're on the road in an hour.
So it's a really good option then.
So yeah, it's amazing. It's
amazing. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, even our crappy truck, like, we break down not loads, but quite a bit. and it's like every time I've been to a lorry dealer's, like, you're in. And within an hour, they fixed it.
Yeah, now a good friend of the business, Dan, he's our resident mechanic, and he's a truck mechanic by trade. Yeah. And he's done the breakdown type stuff, the recovery type stuff, and they're very passionate. I think it's like, I guess, trades in the military, I think, and this is the only thing I can really reference it to. If you've got your trade and your trade is a truck mechanic, you are through and through a truck mechanic, and you take a lot of pride in it. And I guess that follows through to actually when it comes to servicing people's stuff as well. And if that man is regarded as a truck, so to speak, then they're gonna move heaven and earth to keep their truck guys on the road, right?
Yeah, because they're all carrying freight. So the minute something goes a bit funny, especially refrigerated stuff, there's like millions of pounds lost. They have to keep moving.
Brilliant.
That's why lorries with trailers, you see them all getting the tyres fixed. And it's that they don't carry spare wheels because, like, that weight of a wheel is worth cargo weight. So they just don't carry them. So there's like guys just going up and down the motorway, just changing lorry wheels because they don't have them.
Like a Formula One team, just
pretty much. But it's just a completely different league of breakdown. It's I mean, I've changed a wheel. Me and Louise on that lorry is like 130 kilos. It's
no thanks.
Yeah.
I remember winding one down. Like, they were kept. Is yours kept like hung under the chassis? Oh no, yours are hung off the back, aren't they?
Yeah.
On the old military Bedfords that I used to drive, they used to be on a winch system. You used to have your big jack handle, and you used to wind it down off a big cable, and then you'd have to drag it out, but no matter what conditions it were, you have to drag it out from underneath the truck, then wheel it up into position. And it's a drill we didn't enjoy at all, because then they'd make you do it in like the chemical suit with a mask on, or in the cold, in the snow, or whatever. So no, I can totally sympathise, mate. That is not a fun job. So yeah, don't carry spares. Bring somebody along who does it day in, day out. I think that's not a bad chat at all.
I mean, we do carry spare wheels because we need to, because we're on holiday a lot of the time, but I mean, ultimately, having a massive vehicle like that it's good because I want to take a motorbike with me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to when we was in the Arctic Circle in the Westie, I can only take like 4 slabs of beer tops because of the weight, and like I can go in a cheap supermarket in Germany and buy like 12 slabs of beer and just put them in there, and then that'll do me for the trip. And it's when it's like £5 or actually more, like £8 for a can of beer in Norway, it's just a bit miserable, really, isn't it?
They've got a bit more money, the Icelandic countries, haven't they?
But it's just stuff like that. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah. One thing that we would like to mention a little bit is obviously you've said beforehand, don't plan it, just go and get something and then adapt it. Would that be the sense of, obviously you've travelled in massive vehicles and smaller ones, would you recommend to people buying a slightly smaller, cheaper vehicle first and doing the more local trips, and then maybe later down the line buying a bigger vehicle to go out? Or is it just personal preference?
Yeah, I'd buy, like, I wouldn't. A lot of the smaller camper vans now, especially the Volkswagens, it's like a rich man's or rich person's hobby, isn't it? So, like T25s, obviously you can't get anything decent for under kind of 9-10 grand, something like that. Westies are just crazy money, and they're all pretty unreliable, or a lot of them are. If I was to if someone's coming into the which, let's be honest, this summer will be the year of the
it's going to be
camper van,
slammed.
won't it? That's why we bought that T5 the other day after speaking to you, because I know if I left it another 3 weeks I wouldn't be able to buy one.
No,
you
or afford it.
It
would have gone up in value £5,000, I reckon, if you'd left it another 3 weeks.
But this year will be the summer of the van, because we can't go away, abroad, or you can, but not really. So yeah, if you could, rather than buy a cool looking T25 for like, £9,000 or whatever, and it all being great, you're going to spend a load of money on it, and it's going to give you problems. And like, just go and get a T5 for like 12 grand. Like the one we just got, it's like an RS PCA van, and then just get it, and then just don't do anything with it. Just like sort yourself a bed set out. Maybe one of those rock and roll beds that you fit are quite good, aren't they?
Yeah, the Rusty Leigh ones, epic.
Yeah, so you got those beds, and then you can do yourself a little portable stove and get your Eberspatcher fitted, get your awning fitted, and get your compressor fridge. Like we do these panels that come in a suitcase, not like the shitty eBay things, like the proper like marine grade fold out, like they're in a kind of soft case because we get them from
I look forward to looking at one of those
really
actually.
Good. And like you can pop those out. It doesn't have to be fixed to the vehicle all the time. And then if you know what, you might go and you might hate it. It might not be for you. So then you can either carry it to another van or then decide to get into older vans and stuff.
Or not into vans at all. And that was one of the suggestions we had actually. I think on one of the first podcasts was. Maybe even rent a van first. See if you actually like travelling in a van or camping in a campsite or going off grid, for want of a better phrase, because you might get there and it might be down to the weather conditions or the campsite or who you're with, and you might go, nah, not for me. Rather than shelling out anywhere between 6 and 12 grand on a van you can jump in and drive, go and rent one first. But it's just a very romantic thing, isn't it? It has been ever since I've been professionally in the game, the whole van life and travelling in a camper van. But obviously the last 18 months, last 12 months, Christ, it's only 12 months, isn't it? Since our travel has been restricted, that everything's just gone bonkers. Everybody I deal with is having raw material restrictions. Everyone's having delivery restrictions, manufacturing restrictions, just because demand is so high, and it's what gets asked. Is it worth waiting another year? It's like, I don't know. It could be, but I know for a fact that VW aren't even selling cars to dealerships at the moment because they've got fleet requirements to uphold. So I've been reading on some of these forums that brand new vans that you've ordered were due in August are now due in December because the requirement's being dished out to other dealerships elsewhere because the demand is so high. And then any used ones that come up, people are buying cheap ones, restoring T5s now to look like new, putting the new front end and back ends on so they look like a 2018, 2019, 2020 version, and then asking big bucks because the money's there. So yeah, you're right. Let's just get out, use them first, seeing if you actually like it. And then go start spending the money. But I love how, you've just said that. Well, you're making this modular kit, right? That can go. And is modular the right word to use? Would you say, Jed, that it's going to have the fridge, the heater, the awning, etc., and then you're going to design it to go on different vans?
I guess it's just a loose formula of what you can use, and it crossed over. But I mean, you can even. Like probably one of the best van trips I've done like in ages is I went to the States last year or year before, before lockdown, and I got an airport rental vehicle, which was a Dodge Caravan, which after a little research, I found out that the seats could fold flat on the floor. So, and then because I got it with my flight, it was like $23 a day.
Man,
got out the airport in San Francisco, got this minivan, folded all the seats flat so the floor's flat, drove to Walmart, bought a sleeping bag, a cooker and a pan set, and I stayed in that for 10 days, and it cost me, like, I drove all down Big Sur, all down there to Synchrofest, and with Chris Camacho, lived in there for like 10 days, and then just got to the bin in the end, threw away my $20 sleeping bag and the stuff, and it was like
Job
I was
done.
in the States for 2 weeks, travelled most of it, and I spent like 300 quid.
That's epic.
And
that was Chris from Uniworks, wasn't it? Uniworks Design.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But they can do stuff like that. You could go to Greece and do it.
Yeah. No, you're right.
If you just find out what vehicles they do, and it's like, the seats go down in that could.
Well, funny enough, I've been eyeing up the wife's Touran, because all those seats fold completely flat. Now, we've owned this car for 6 years, and it's only now I'm thinking, hang on.
Yeah.
That's actually a really capable car, because we've done thousands and thousands of miles in it, and all the seats fold flat or remove completely.
Yeah. Well, people want a stealth camper, there you go.
That's an epic... Or if you've not got the budget for a van, screw that. Let's just modify your MPV, your Tourans, your Previas, your whatever, your C-Maxes. Let's figure out a way to, if you're completely on a budget, you bolt an awning to the side of an MPV. There you go. You've still got a vehicle that you can travel in.
Yeah, pop your compressor fridge in the back.
Job done. They've all got cigar lighter sockets in the back, haven't they? So, a really good shout. And again, if you've got some of these removable or fold-out solar panels, then you can have yourself some vehicle-dependent travel using your family car.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. No, that's really, really cool. I mean, I'm just trying to look at the time now. I don't know how far have we gone, guys. This is cool so far. I'm really enjoying our chat at the moment. 54 minutes. Oh my gosh, Jed. We could just keep going and going, I think, to be honest with you.
It's good job we're not drinking at the same time.
I know, right? Well, no, that's what I look forward to, man. I look forward to this all coming back to normal. I know Dan and I want to get out on some trips. We're already trying to plan trips. We hope there's going to be some shows this year, if not one or two. And I look forward to sitting down with you a bit less formally, rather than in work or we're being restricted in terms of distance and we're all wearing masks. Let's hope very, very soon we can actually go and hit a campsite or a field or wherever fancies us, and we can sit down for hours and just, chew the fat till the cows come home, I guess.
Yeah. And on the overland side of things, before we sign off, it will be a topic that we will be going into more in the future. This is just a very, very good introduction to it, so thank you for your time. We've got our electrics supplier that we're going to have a chat with at some point as well, because that's another side of it. And again, it comes into how extreme you want to go, because we know that he's asked that question, as you say, 5 or 6 times a day. It'll be really interesting to not brush this subject under the carpet now, because we have in an hour only just sort of scratched the surface in some respects, but at the same time, a lot of really good information.
I really want to keep talking as well, but we've all got stuff to do and places to go.
There's with the overland stuff. I mean, really, we kind of spoke more about like vans and trying to do it, get started almost. But if we went deep into the overland thing, there's so much. There really is, like, so much.
Yeah.
It'd be a full weekend episode or something.
I'd love it. And I think in future, we want to do some maybe live stuff at car shows. So, wherever we meet up in the future, Jed, we'll do the same sort of thing. We'll just bring a record and we'll just, like I say, pull up a sandbag and start chatting. But before we go, where's the best place you've ever travelled to in terms of, like, with a vehicle? I'm gonna lay it straight out there.
I'd say one of the they're all a bit kind of good for different reasons. I'd say one of the best places I've been to wasn't actually in my own vehicle.
Uh-huh.
So friends of mine, friends of mine,
great trip in somebody else's car.
Live, travel, play. They were doing a round the world trip in the van. The Canadians, they were in Turkey, in Cappadocia, and they invited me to fly in, and they picked me up from the airport, and I spent 10 days with those guys. Made a video about it. Don't know if you want to put a link to it, but
absolutely, yeah.
That was a place. Again, I didn't even stay in my own van that time, but it was amazing. Like that was great.
All the boxes were ticked.
Yeah.
Is that the one? If I remember seeing your pictures, is that the one with the air balloons in the background? Yeah, that's some epic
just the
shots.
landscape there and everything, and the Turkish people are like amazing. I thought it was going to be like Morocco, but it wasn't at all. Like people they just want to speak to you. It's brilliant.
Oh, brilliant. Well, if anybody's listening on the likes of YouTube, then we shall certainly leave the link in the description down below for sure. However, we'll do like a little post-credit on the show, or we'll just put the links up on our social media as well, and we'll put all the links to you and your pages and your website on our social media as well, Jed. But I think before we sign off, mate, anything you really want to plug right now, or is it just make sure you buy your gear from us sort of thing?
Yeah, if you like. People are welcome to. But don't feel pressured, because I'm getting pretty burnt out at the minute. So.
Oh no.
If you want to, honestly, any money you spend with us, obviously, is massively appreciated, and we need to keep selling stuff so we can like get away and do some more filming and some more trips. But things are good. So if we can help you, or in any way, then if I've got the time up to spare, I will. But I've got more help arriving actually in a few weeks. I should get back to being a bit more kind of active in the community rather than just putting stuff in boxes that all I've been doing as of late. So
brilliant.
Yeah, but if you buy some stuff, I'd be happy to sell it you.
Super. And if anybody's bought anything from us in the past, they would have noticed that our sort of again, not wanting to use the word collaboration, but our association runs deep, doesn't it? And we we send out stickers and all sorts of stuff. If you buy anything from us, there's always going to be some sort of trinket of yours in that package as well. So, and we really appreciate.
Well, it's good because we do it for a living. Yeah, it's just a job we do. There's plenty of new little startups you see now. People are on furlough. Okay, everyone's trying to make a few quid. There's an absolute pile of crap knocking around like one place or another. And when all those people, you've finished buying your cheap stuff, and those people are all back to work, there's people like us, we still have to be here to service the community. So just bear that in mind. If you see something that's a bit cheaper, or a kind of cheap job being done somewhere, just bear in mind it's the Just Campers, it's the heritage, it's the camper van culture, it's the Combe Valley campers that will always be there to service you in the future. So you just try and keep that in mind.
Super job, man. And it's all about sticking together, isn't it? And helping each other's businesses out, and showing the appreciation. And we certainly appreciate you, mate, for coming on. I really, really do appreciate that. And again, I hope to do this sort of chat again in the future.
Yeah. As you mentioned as well, we could do a whole weekend's worth of podcasting. So I'm sure after this, it happens every week. We get a load more questions going, oh, that was really good. What about this? So we'll make a note of those. So when you're on next time, we can send them your way.
Maybe we'll do a live Q&A with Jed.
Yeah,
that's not a bad idea. Yeah. Do you know what? I'll look into that. There's new apps. I think it's called Studio. You can be in one place. I'll be in the other. We'll get some live Q&A questions in and we can battle it out between us. How's that?
Yeah, okay, do it.
Super. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, man. Again, we'll leave all the links down to your stuff down in the descriptions. And thank you very much, Dan. And thank you for everybody in the background helping us as well. Camera guy Ali, audio over there with Izzy. Thank you everybody for joining us as well at home, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely.
Thanks again.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye. Cheers, Jen.